Now let's crunch some numbers. We are seeing near universal Kubernetes adoption. At this point, is Kubernetes still a differentiator or has it become invisible infrastructure, a foundational technology like the Linux kernel?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I would say that's a very interesting parallel that it is shows a lot of similar properties to the Linux kernel and being somewhat invisible. I think that is true for mature foundational infrastructure, and that's really where we are with the Kubernetes project. And that's such a sign of its success and its ubiquity. But it's happened fairly recently, like in the past 2 years. We're looking at 82% running Kubernetes in production, whereas that figure was 66% just 2 years ago. So I would say a major gain in terms of the proliferation of Kubernetes. There are probably some interesting reasons for that. But as more and more organizations modernize their core infrastructure and recognize the value of transitioning to cloud native practices and processes and infrastructure, then it's really just a sign of the times. I think it would be safe to say that it is the de facto industry standard for cloud native orchestration, production, and deployment.
The survey shows 66% of organizations using generative AI now rely on Kubernetes for some or all of their AI workloads. What makes Kubernetes so well suited to AI infrastructure?
Yeah, it was very interesting that so much AI is running on Kubernetes, and that, as you said, 66% of organizations are running generative AI using Kubernetes, and the primary activity that they're doing is training inference workloads. They're not building models, they're running inference workloads themselves, and doing so in Kubernetes to a significant extent. And that was quite a telling finding about the way that Kubernetes is being used today. The fact that it is especially effective is really rooted in the fact that Kubernetes always has been exceptionally good at orchestration, and it's been exceptionally good at resource intensive workloads and running those workloads at scale, running those workloads in decentralized environments. And so it's really like the project has had this opportunity to come into its own. It's found a phenomenal intersection with AI use cases, and really it's become the right foundational project at the right time in the innovation landscape. Enabling a GPU scheduling and auto scaling and workload isolation, and the way it integrates with other processes is really has made it understandably an incredibly useful project right now.
The survey shows 98% of organizations have adopted cloud native techniques, signaling the end of the early adopter era. But if I ask you, how would you define cloud native now, since it has kind of become the default?
Yeah, great question, Swap. I think it's much more than just adoption. It really is about maturity, and it's about the culture of that project within an organization that really sets it up for success. Our survey revealed through looking at organizations' maturity stages, some very clear categories of what defines maturity within the cloud native landscape. And we came up with 4 categories. There are what we defined as explorers. The second category was adopters, and then practitioners, a little bit more mature and more sophisticated, and then innovators. And really what's fascinating is the extent to which the progression through the maturity stages is marked by clear practices like GitOps, continuous integration, continuous delivery, automation, platform engineering. And, it's more than tooling, but importantly, it's also about the culture of transformation and how we manifest successful technology adoptions through these other practices, like creating cultures that support CI/CD, that support GitOps practices and their adoption, and support cross-project collaboration. That's really what defines success. So yes, it's cloud native technologies cloud native techniques are prolific with this 98% figure, but it's about so much more than adoption. It really is about the how, not just the what, that defines success.